My sister called me crying, begging me to give up my wedding date so she could get married before me. She got engaged 6 months after I did, but somehow I was the selfish one for refusing to change all my plans. When I said no, my entire family turned against me and called me a bridezilla. My name is Emma, and I'm 30 years old. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I work as a marketing manager for a tech company. I've been with my fiancé, David, for 4 years. He's 32, works as an architect, and is honestly the kindest, most patient man I've ever met, which turned out to be a very good thing, because he needed every ounce of that patience to deal with what my family put us through. My younger sister, Olivia, is 27. She's always been the baby of the family, the one who got away with everything. Growing up, Olivia could do no wrong in my parents' eyes. If I got an A on a test, it was expected. If Olivia got a B, it was celebrated. If I asked for something, I was being demanding. If Olivia asked for the same thing, she was just expressing her needs. I learned early on to just accept that Olivia was the favorite. It was easier than constantly fighting for equal treatment. I became independent, self-sufficient, and stopped expecting much from my family. Olivia, on the other hand, became entitled, spoiled, and convinced the world should revolve around her. Despite all this, Olivia and I got along okay as adults. We weren't super close, but we weren't enemies either. We'd have lunch occasionally, text about family stuff, show up to each other's birthday parties. It was fine, civil, perfectly adequate for sisters who didn't have much in common besides genetics. David proposed to me in December. It was perfect and romantic. He took me to the botanical gardens where we'd had our first date, and he proposed under the same tree where we'd shared our first kiss. I said yes before he even finished asking the question. We told our families right away. My parents were happy for me, in their measured, controlled way. "That's wonderful, dear," my mother said. "We're very pleased." Not exactly jumping up and down with excitement, but that was typical for them. David's parents, on the other hand, were thrilled. His mom cried happy tears and immediately started talking about grandchildren. Olivia was happy for me too, or at least she seemed to be. She hugged me and said she was excited to be a bridesmaid. She asked to see the ring, oohed and awed appropriately, and seemed genuinely pleased. David and I started planning right away. We both wanted a summer wedding, and after looking at our schedules and talking to various venues, we settled on June 15th. It was a Saturday. The weather would be beautiful, and it gave us 6 months to plan everything. We booked our venue in January. It was a gorgeous estate with gardens and a historic mansion. We put down a substantial, non-refundable deposit. We sent out save the dates to our guest list of 150 people. We hired a photographer, a videographer, a florist, and a caterer. We booked a band. We reserved hotel room blocks for out-of-town guests. By February, we had most of the major pieces in place. The wedding was really happening. I was so excited I could barely stand it. Then, in early March, Olivia called me. She was giddy with excitement. "Emma! Oh my God, Emma, guess what?" "What?" I asked, smiling at her enthusiasm. "Brett proposed. We're engaged." Brett was Olivia's boyfriend of about a year and a half. He was nice enough, a pharmaceutical sales rep, drove a fancy car, wore expensive suits. He wasn't really my type, but Olivia seemed happy with him, and that's what mattered. "That's amazing," I said. "Congratulations. I'm so happy for you." "Thank you. I'm so excited. I can't believe we're both getting married. We're going to be brides together." We talked for about 30 minutes about her proposal, her ring, her excitement. She asked me for wedding planning advice since I was a few months ahead of her. I told her about the vendors I'd hired and venues I'd looked at. It was a nice sister moment. I felt closer to her than I had in years. I should have known it wouldn't last. About a week later, Olivia called again. This time, her tone was completely different. Emma, we need to talk about something. Okay, what's up? So, Brett and I have been talking about our wedding date, and we really want to get married in June. June is great, I said. The weather is perfect. There are so many beautiful weekends available. Right, well, that's the thing, Olivia said. We really want June 15th. I laughed, thinking she was joking. That's my wedding date. I know, she said. That's why I'm calling. Emma, I need you to change your date. I stopped laughing. What? I need to get married before you, she said. It's tradition for the older sister to get married first. If you get married before me, it's bad luck. And besides, everyone in the family is expecting me to get married first. Olivia, I'm the older sister. I got engaged first. My wedding is already planned. But I need to get married in June, she said, her voice getting whiny. Brett's parents are only in town during June, and June 15th is perfect because it's right before his busy season at work. We can't do any other date. Then pick a different June weekend, I said, trying to stay calm. There are 4 other Saturdays in June. But June 15th is the perfect date, she insisted. And you can just move yours. You have time. You're not getting married for another 3 months. Just pick a different date. Olivia, I can't just pick a different date. We've already booked everything. We've sent save the dates. We've put down deposits. So lose the deposits? She said like it was nothing. Emma, I need this. I need to get married before you. Please. That doesn't make any sense, I said. Why does it matter who gets married first? Because I'm supposed to, she said, her voice rising. Everyone expects it. I've been planning my wedding in my head since I was a little girl. I always imagined getting married first. You can't just take that away from me. Take it away from you? Olivia, I got engaged first. I chose my date first. You're the one trying to take something from me. You're being so selfish, she yelled. This is so typical of you. You always have to be first at everything. You always have to steal my spotlight. I'm not stealing anything, I said, my own voice getting louder. I'm just getting married on the date I chose for my own wedding. If you get married before me, you're going to ruin my entire wedding, she cried. Everyone will compare us. Everyone will say my wedding isn't as good as yours. You have to let me go first. Olivia, that's ridiculous. Nobody is going to compare our weddings. Yes, they will. You know they will. Emma, please, I'm begging you. Just change your date. Please. I took a deep breath. No, Olivia. I'm not changing my date. I'm sorry, but the answer is no. She hung up on me. 5 minutes later, my mother called. Emma, what is this I hear about you refusing to change your wedding date for your sister? Mom, Olivia got engaged 3 months after me. I already have everything planned. I'm not changing my date just because she wants it. Emma, your sister is very upset. She's crying. She says you're ruining her wedding. How am I ruining her wedding? She hasn't even planned it yet. She has her heart set on June 15th. Can't you just pick a different date? There are so many dates to choose from. There were so many dates to choose from when Olivia was picking too. She could pick any other date in June, or July, or August. But she wants my exact date. She wants to get married before you, my mother said. Is that really so much to ask? You're the older sister. You should be more mature about this. Let Olivia go first. Why should she go first? I got engaged first. That's how time works. Don't be difficult, Emma. Your sister needs this. She's always dreamed of being the first one to get married. Well, I dreamed of getting married on June 15th at the venue I've already booked and paid for, I said. Why do her dreams matter more than mine? Because she's your little sister, my mother said, like that explained everything. Just be the bigger person here. Being the bigger person doesn't mean sacrificing my wedding, I said. My mother sighed heavily. I'm very disappointed in you, Emma. I raised you to be considerate of your sister's feelings. What about my feelings? I asked. You're being selfish, she said and hung up. Over the next few days, the calls kept coming. My father called, awkwardly trying to convince me to keep the peace by changing my date. My Aunt Susan called, saying she'd heard I was being unreasonable and that she'd always thought of me as the thoughtful sister. My grandmother called, saying that in her day, sisters would never treat each other this way. Olivia sent me long text messages about how I was ruining the most important day of her life. She said I was jealous of her, that I'd always been jealous of her, and that this was my way of sabotaging her happiness. Brett even called, which was weird because Brett and I had maybe had 5 conversations in the entire time he'd been dating Olivia. Hey, Emma, he said uncomfortably. Listen, I know this is awkward, but Olivia is really upset. Is there any way you could consider moving your date? It would mean a lot to both of us. Brett, I've already got everything booked, I explained. Moving the date would cost thousands of dollars in lost deposits. Plus, I'd have to rebook everything, and there's no guarantee the same vendors would even be available. I get that, he said. But maybe it's worth it for family harmony. Olivia's been crying for days. I just want her to be happy. I want her to be happy too, I said, but not at the expense of my own happiness and my own wedding. He sighed. I tried, he said, and got off the phone. The pressure was relentless. Every single day, someone from my family would call or text trying to convince me to give up my date. They tried guilt. They tried logic. They tried emotional manipulation. They tried everything. My mother even suggested that David and I could just have a small courthouse wedding and then a bigger celebration later. That way, Olivia could have the big wedding first, and you could still get married, she said. Mom, why should I have to settle for a courthouse wedding so Olivia can have the big wedding? I asked. Because you're more practical, she said. You'd be fine with something simple. Olivia needs the big celebration. That's when I started to understand what this was really about. It wasn't about dates or traditions or bad luck. It was about the same pattern that had defined our entire childhood. Olivia's wants were needs. My needs were negotiable. Olivia's feelings mattered. Mine didn't. David was incredible through all of this. He was furious on my behalf, but he never pressured me to do anything. He said whatever I decided, he'd support me completely. If you want to change the date to avoid all this family drama, I'll understand, he said. If you want to keep our date and deal with the fallout, I'm behind you 100%. This is your call. I don't want to change our date, I said. We chose June 15th for a reason. It's perfect. The venue is perfect. Everything is planned. Why should we have to change everything because Olivia got engaged after us and decided she wants what we have? Then we don't change it, David said simply. Our wedding, our date, our decision. I loved him even more for that. But the family pressure kept escalating. My mother started calling me multiple times a day. She'd cry about how I was tearing the family apart. She'd talk about how Olivia had always looked up to me and how hurt she was that I didn't care about her feelings. My bridesmaids even got involved. 2 of them were mutual friends with Olivia, and they started questioning whether I was being too stubborn. It's just a date, one of them said. Does it really matter that much? Maybe you should just change it to keep the peace. Would you change your wedding date if someone demanded it? I asked. She didn't have a good answer to that. Things came to a head at a family dinner in April. My mother had insisted on a family gathering to talk things through. I knew it was going to be an ambush, but David convinced me to go. "Let's just hear them out," he said. "Maybe if they can all say their piece, they'll finally drop it." We arrived at my parents' house to find not just my immediate family, but my aunt and uncle, my grandmother, and even one of Olivia's friends from college. It was absolutely an ambush. Everyone sat down in the living room. Olivia was sitting between my mother and Brett, looking like a sad puppy. I felt like I was on trial. My mother started, "Emma, we're all here because we love you, and we want you to understand how much this is hurting your sister." "I understand she's upset," I said, "but I'm not changing my wedding date." Olivia started crying immediately, right on cue. "How can you be so cruel?" she sobbed. "I'm your little sister. How can you do this to me?" "I'm not doing anything to you," I said. "You're the one who chose a date that was already taken." "You could choose any other date," she wailed. "Why does it have to be June 15th? "Why does yours have to be June 15th? I countered. "Because it's perfect," she cried. "It's the perfect date, and I need to get married before you." "Why do you need to get married before me?" She looked at my mother, then at Brett, then back at me. "Because I'm pregnant." The room went completely silent. "You're what?" I said. "I'm pregnant," Olivia repeated, crying harder now. "I'm 8 weeks pregnant. We need to get married before I start showing. That's why we need June 15th. That's why I need to go before you." I felt like I'd been slapped. This whole time, the real reason she wanted my date had nothing to do with tradition or sisterly order. She was pregnant and wanted to get married before it became obvious. "Olivia," I said quietly, "why didn't you just tell me that from the beginning?" "Because it's embarrassing," she cried. "I didn't want everyone to know I got pregnant before the wedding. But I can't wait until after you get married because I'll be huge by then. Emma, please, I'm begging you, I need this." I looked around the room. Everyone was looking at me expectantly, waiting for me to be the bigger person, waiting for me to sacrifice my plans to save Olivia from embarrassment. "I'm sorry you're in this situation," I said slowly. "But, Olivia, you could have told me the truth. We could have worked something out. You could have picked a date in May or even early June. But instead, you demanded my exact date and made up stories about tradition and being the younger sister." "I need June 15th, she insisted. "Brett's parents are only available then. Then they'll have to miss the wedding," I said. "Or you can get married on a different date when they are available. But I'm not giving up my date." My mother looked horrified. "Emma, your sister is pregnant. Doesn't that change things?" "It changes that I understand her urgency," I said. "But it doesn't change that she got engaged 3 months after me and is demanding I give up the date I chose first. If this was really about the pregnancy, she could have told me the truth and we could have worked together to find a solution. But she didn't. She just demanded I move my wedding and made it about her feelings." "So you're just going to let your pregnant sister be humiliated?" my grandmother said. "I'm not humiliating anyone," I said. "Olivia chose to get pregnant before getting engaged. That was her choice. I'm not responsible for the consequences of her choices." Olivia's friend spoke up. "You're being really selfish. A wedding date is just a date. Olivia's situation is serious." "Who are you?" David said, speaking up for the first time. "Why are you even here?" "I'm Olivia's friend and I'm here to support her," the friend said. "Well, I'm Emma's fiancé and I'm here to support her," David said. "And I'm telling you that we're not changing our wedding date. We got engaged first. We planned first. We booked everything first. Olivia is welcome to get married on any other date she chooses, but June 15th is ours. You're both being incredibly selfish, my mother said. No, David said firmly. We're being reasonable. What's selfish is demanding someone change all their plans because you want what they have. What's selfish is getting your entire family to gang up on your sister instead of just planning your own wedding on your own date. My father, who'd been silent this whole time, finally spoke. Maybe Emma has a point. They did choose their date first. My mother shot him a look that could have melted steel. Don't you dare take her side. I'm just saying, my father said weakly. Maybe we're being a bit unfair here. Unfair? My mother said. What's unfair is Emma refusing to help her sister in a time of need. I stood up. I'm done with this conversation. David and I are getting married on June 15th at the venue we booked. Olivia is welcome to choose any other date. I'm sorry if that's not what you wanted to hear, but that's my final answer. If you do this, Olivia said through her tears, I'll never forgive you. You're ruining my life. I'm not ruining your life, Olivia. I'm just living mine. David and I walked out. My mother followed us to the door, still trying to convince us to change our minds. We got in the car and drove away. That was brutal, David said. That was my whole childhood, I replied. Over the next few weeks, the family dynamics got even worse. My mother stopped calling me altogether. Olivia blocked me on all social media. Half the family took Olivia's side and stopped speaking to me. The other half tried to stay neutral, which mostly meant they avoided both of us. 2 of my bridesmaids dropped out, saying they didn't want to be part of family drama. I replaced them with 2 friends from work who'd been nothing but supportive. My mother called David's mother and tried to convince her to talk to us about changing the date. David's mom shut that down immediately. My son and future daughter-in-law chose their date first. That's the end of the discussion. About 3 weeks after the family dinner, I got a text from Olivia. It was long and mostly blamed me for everything, but buried in the middle was this. I'm getting married on June 8th since you've made it clear you don't care about me at all. I hope you're happy. June 8th, 1 week before my wedding. She'd scheduled her wedding 1 week before mine. I called my mother. Did you know Olivia is getting married on June 8th? Yes, my mother said coldly. It was the only date that worked since you refused to be flexible. Mom, she scheduled her wedding 1 week before mine. That means I'll be in the final week of wedding preparations when I'm supposed to be at her wedding. I guess you'll have to manage your time well, my mother said. Is she expecting me to be a bridesmaid? Of course she is. You're her sister. After everything she said to me, after she called me selfish and cruel and said she'd never forgive me? She's hurt, Emma, but she still wants you in her wedding because she's a better person than you are. I hung up. I did not agree to be in Olivia's wedding. I sent her a text saying that I would attend as a guest if she wanted me there, but that I couldn't be a bridesmaid given everything that had happened and the timing of her wedding being 1 week before mine. She responded with a paragraph about how I was proving what a terrible sister I was, and how she'd always known I was selfish, and how our whole family could finally see my true colors. My mother left me a voicemail saying I was a disgrace to the family. June 8th came. I did not go to Olivia's wedding. I sent a card and a gift, but I didn't attend. I was busy with final preparations for my own wedding, and honestly, I didn't want to be there. David didn't go either in solidarity with me. My mother called the day after Olivia's wedding. I hope you're proud of yourself. You missed your own sister's wedding. Olivia cried about it all day. She cried at her own wedding about me not being there? I said. Yes, she was devastated. Everyone noticed you weren't there. It was humiliating. Mom, Olivia told me she'd never forgive me. She called me terrible names. She tried to steal my wedding date, and then she scheduled her wedding 1 week before mine, knowing it would make things impossible for me. Why would I go to her wedding after all that? Because she's family, my mother said, like that explained everything. So am I said, but nobody seems to remember that. June 15th arrived, our wedding day. Despite all the family drama, all the stress, all the guilt trips and manipulation, David and I got married on the date we'd chosen, at the venue we'd booked, with the vendors we'd hired. It was beautiful, perfect. Everything we'd dreamed it would be. Half my family didn't come. My mother, Olivia, Brett, my Aunt Susan, and a few others all skipped it. They said they were exhausted from Olivia's wedding the week before, or they had other commitments. But everyone who mattered was there. David's family. My father showed up, which surprised me. My best friends. My co-workers who'd supported me through everything. And honestly, the wedding was better without the people who'd been making my life miserable for the past 3 months. My father pulled me aside before the ceremony. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I'm sorry for not standing up for you more. Your mother and Olivia have always been difficult. But you were right. You chose your date first. You had every right to keep it." "Thanks, Dad," I said, hugging him. "Your mother will come around eventually," he said. "She's stubborn, but she's not cruel. She just has a blind spot when it comes to Olivia." "I know," I said, "but I'm done making myself smaller so Olivia can feel bigger." The wedding was everything I wanted it to be. David and I exchanged vows in the garden under a beautiful floral arch. We danced with our friends and family who actually cared about us. We ate amazing food and drank champagne and celebrated our love without any drama or guilt trips or manipulation. That night, lying in bed in our honeymoon suite, David said, "No regrets." "Not a single one," I said. "You?" "Just that we didn't elope and avoid all that family nonsense," he said with a smile. "But then we would have missed this perfect day." "True. And it was perfect, because you stood your ground. You didn't let them bully you into giving up what you wanted." He was right. For the first time in my life, I'd stood up to my family's pattern of putting Olivia first. I'd refused to sacrifice my happiness for hers, and the result was the wedding of my dreams, surrounded by people who actually loved and supported me. It's been 6 months since our wedding. The family dynamics are still complicated. My mother and I have a polite but distant relationship. She calls occasionally to fill me in on family news, but we don't talk about the wedding drama. It's like it never happened, which is typical of my mother's approach to conflict. Olivia and I haven't spoken since before my wedding. She had her baby 3 months ago, a little girl. I sent a gift. She didn't acknowledge it. Maybe someday we'll repair our relationship, but I'm not holding my breath. And honestly, I'm okay with that. I've realized that some relationships are one-sided. Some people will always expect you to give more than they're willing to give back. And it's okay to stop participating in that dynamic, even if the person is family. My father and I have gotten closer. He apologized multiple times for not standing up for me more during the whole ordeal. We have lunch once a month now, just the two of us. He tells me about his life, asks about mine, and doesn't mention Olivia unless I bring her up first. David's family has fully embraced me. His mother tells people I'm the daughter she never had. His siblings include me in everything. They've shown me what healthy family dynamics look like, and it's been healing in ways I didn't expect. Sometimes I wonder if I should have just changed the date. If it would have been easier to give in, to keep the peace, to avoid all the drama and family division. But then I remember how it felt to stand in that garden on June 15th, marrying the man I love, surrounded by people who respected me enough not to ask me to sacrifice my happiness for someone else's convenience. And I know I made the right choice. My name is Emma. I'm 30 years old. My sister demanded I give up my wedding date because she got engaged after me. My family called me selfish when I refused, but I stood my ground, and I married the love of my life on the day we chose together. If you're in a situation where family is pressuring you to sacrifice something important to you, where you're being called selfish for having boundaries, where you're expected to always be the bigger person at your own expense, I want you to know this. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to keep what's yours. You're allowed to put your own happiness first. And if people can't respect that, maybe they don't deserve a place at your table. Because being family doesn't give someone the right to demand you sacrifice your dreams for theirs. Real love doesn't require you to make yourself smaller. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is stand firm and refuse to move, even when everyone is telling you you're wrong. I kept my wedding date. I kept my self-respect. And I gained a clearer understanding of who truly supports me and who just wants me to be convenient. That clarity was worth every awkward family gathering, every guilt trip, every accusation of selfishness. Because at the end of the day, I have to live with my choices. And I'd rather live with the choice to honor myself than the choice to sacrifice myself for people who would never do the same for me.